Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS review video for the 2022 Genesis Invitational. Of course, in these videos, all I'm doing is reviewing how well the SweetSpot process did this week and where we can improve. The whole goal, remember, is to hit the optimal lineup. We went through the pieces that it's required to find it in the preview, and then we talked about the players that we thought we needed to actually hit the optimal lineup this week. So let's take a look how well that did. But first, I want to start with some giveaways. If you remember, we have a subscriber giveaway. I'm just going to throw on the screen really quick. You needed to be subscribed. Comment in any of the videos I put out through the week. That gets you a free entry into this giveaway, which I was giving away $10. And if you wanted an additional entry, all you had to do is share it on Twitter. Whatever tweet that I sent out, all you need to do is retweet. And of course, if we hit the goal of 300 subscribers by this video, I was going to run it. So we did. So let's go ahead. Let's find ourselves a $10 winner. Now, we didn't have that many participants. If you recall, last Sunday, we hit our goal as well. So we ran it and it starts anew. So new people came in and all you had to do again is participate in my videos just by commenting. And of course, you need to be subscribed. So here's everyone. 14 participants for $10. Let's see who wins. Jim Lemoyne. Jim, all you have to do, contact me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Let me know how you'd like it sent. I can do Venmo, I can do PayPal. We can figure something out. So if you don't have any of those, let me know, but you are a winner of $10. So Mr. Lemoyne, you will be going right here as past winners. I also do a second giveaway called Prize Picks giveaway. By the way, this updates, I figured out, if I were just to type something in here, it changes. And that's because it goes with the random function. Anytime you do something, it's going to update the random generator. So that's why it changes. But Jim Lemoyne's the winner. That means all of these will be removed. Before I get into the Prize Picks giveaway, Joe Nicely has decided to donate his $10. So next week, the goal is 320 subscribers. If we hit that, I'm going to give away $20 instead of 10. So if you're watching this and you're not yet subscribed and you want a chance to win $20, all you got to do, again, be subscribed. And then comment on the preview video, the strategy video, the Prize Picks video. You get 3 entries just by doing that. And also retweeting it on Twitter, you'll get an additional entry. So Mr. Nicely, I'm just going to highlight your color red. That means you gave away, or you donated your $10. I do have a Prize Picks giveaway. I still have yet to get a report from, here, let me throw that on the screen. I have yet to get a report from Prize Picks to let me know who my new subscribers are. I know I have at least 2. So I'm working on it. Again, if you did sign up using, well, first of all, there's a link in the description. If you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot, you're automatically entered into my $20 giveaway, which I wasn't going to actually run as I have it on the screen. I was just going to give $20 away for whoever uses that promo code. Again, I don't have the report yet, so just bear with me. Once I get it, I'll make sure everything is correct. So those are the giveaways. So Jim Lemoyne, congratulations. He's been someone who's been commenting on a lot of my videos over the last month, I think. So it's as easy as that. I want to reward all those that participate with the channel. With that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get in this thing. So let me throw up the Genesis. Let's talk about it, kind of like a quick review, a recap. Joaquin Niemann, wire-to-wire winner. He led it. I mean, he had 2 phenomenal rounds. Let's actually look at something different than this. This way we can look at his scores. He shot back-to-back 63s on Thursday and Friday. So you can see that here, round 1, round 2, back-to-back 63s. Cam Young, who finished tied for second with Colin Morikawa, went 66-62. Like, those are really good scores for really young guys. I don't think I don't have Cam Young's information out here just yet, but Joaquin Niemann, 23 years old. He might be 24. I think I have that updated correctly, but either way, young guy winning Genesis. This strength of field, if you recall, 684. Like, it was pretty high. It was a little higher before Matthew Fitzpatrick withdrew. I think it was 696. Very high strength of field, so it's a very high quality win for Joaquin Niemann. We had a bunch of guys inside the top 10 official world golf ranking in this tournament. So super impressive for Joaquin Niemann. If you guys follow along with the Fantasy Golf Pod when we were doing the season-long draft, my first two choices were Cantlay and Hovland. My third choice was Joaquin Niemann, and Chad, who's the host, was kind of like, well, why is he someone you want to pick? And it's like, because the guy is super talented. He's 23 years old. He's like probably 140 pounds soaking wet, and he hits the ball like 330. I mean, just that alone, that to me, how far you can hit it is just your max potential. Everything in between is like short game, iron play, that kind of stuff. You can work on that throughout your career. Like, distance is one of those things that Bryson is showing you can work on, but you just have it. If you have the flexibility, if you have the core strength, you have all those things, you can hit the ball pretty far. And Joaquin Niemann already hits it plenty far. So all he has to do, really, work on his iron game, which his iron game's pretty solid, and work on his putting, which it doesn't look like he didn't putt poorly this week, but he also just has really good technique when it comes to putting. So he's not a terrible putter whatsoever. This week it was really difficult to try to figure out what are his weaknesses, because if anything, maybe it's shot shaping. I didn't see a lot of cuts that he hit. He's primarily a guy who draws the golf ball. That didn't really matter here. And if you were with me in the preview, I said shot shape didn't really matter at this golf course. A lot of people say shot shaping at this course really matters, and I'm not going to disagree, but the requirements for hitting shot shapes were not there. You weren't required to shape it one direction or another. Obviously, wherever the pin was located, you were going to want to flight shots into those pins properly, in the correct way. But there wasn't a requirement. This isn't a super tree-lined golf course that requires you to shape shots. I mean, you saw Victor Hovland on one of the holes just continuously blast it down a different golf hole because he didn't want to have to hit that cut around the corner, which he automatically hits a cut. So I don't understand his issue with that. Obviously, he just wasn't comfortable on that hole. But either way, it wasn't a necessity. You didn't need to shape it one way or another. But having that ball control really did matter. Morikawa is one of those. He can, if you ever watch a range session of his, if you ask him to hit a draw, the furthest he can draw it is like 5 feet. He can't hook it whatsoever. On the opposite side of that, if you watch like Matt Wolff, I'm thinking of a TaylorMade range session that they had. Matt Wolff couldn't really hit a cut. All he could do was draw the golf ball. There are golfers that can only hit certain shot shapes, but when you're as straight as Colin Morikawa, you really don't have to worry, because unless it's a 90-degree dogleg that requires you to, shape it around the corner in order to get closer to the hole, you're not necessarily required to hit a certain type of shot shape. I've gone on way too long about that, but I'm just saying that was maybe the only weakness I saw of Joaquin Niemann, not being able to hit a cut shot. But again, it wasn't required, and therefore he won. Cam Young was one of those that actually shaped the shot, or shaped shots pretty decently. He was primarily a draw. He primarily hit a draw for each of his shots. But again, it doesn't matter when you're hitting the ball straight. So let's move on. We don't need to talk about that. I just thought it was super interesting. Like how low they went Thursday, Friday, and then they just maintained. And that's how Joaquin Niemann won. That's how Cam finished second. Your only golfers to get that sub 70 bonus were Colin Morikawa, Maverick McNeely, Cameron Tringali. I think that's it from what I can see right now and from what I can remember. Cam Young almost got it, could have, but obviously shot 70 in the final round. That's not going to do it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah. So 3 guys that had the bonus, which it's going to lead me into my next part of the video, which is going to look at GPP winning lineup versus the optimal lineup. Just trying to pull up kind of like past scripts just to see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's look at that. All the golfers with little black tick marks, those are your optimal lineup golfers. All the golfers highlighted in blue, these are your $5 drive the green winning golfers, golfers in that lineup. So that $5 GPP winning lineup, which again is drive the green, scored 614.5 points. It used up all $50,000 of salary. And that included Neiman, Young, Morikawa, Hovland, KH Lee, and Will Zalatoris. So Zalatoris, despite finishing 26th place, was in the GPP winning lineup. Again, that lineup scored 614.5 points. The optimal lineup scored 674. So almost 60 points separates the optimal from the GPP winning, meaning you and I, there was so much flexibility for us to actually beat that lineup. It's kind of sad that we weren't able. There's only 120 golfers in the field. It was my best 6 of 6 week. Hopefully it was for you guys. 45 people missed the cut. That was it. Whereas in other tournaments, we see somewhere around 70 to 80 golfers miss the cut. Because there were 75 golfers that made the cut, which is super high, considering it's top 65 in ties that make the cut. Anyways, your optimal lineup, again, 674 points, used up 49.7, left 300 on the table. Joaquin Neiman, Cameron Young, Colin Morikawa, Adam Scott, Victor Hovland, and Maverick McNeely all finished inside the top 10. So I don't have a realistic optimal lineup or a sweet spot optimal to talk about. Again, those golfers all equal up to be over 49,000, which is another requirement, but still 49.7, pretty darn good. And we're going to see if, following the sweet spot process, if we could create this optimal lineup or a lineup that will beat the GPP winning lineup. That's the primary goal. But that's all I have for the GPP versus the optimal. Again, a lot of room for improvement. Like one of us we could have gotten there. From here, let's just talk about the SweetSpot score, because this is going to drive a lot of things that I'm going to talk about going forward. So if I sort from top to bottom, what I want to see is at least 4 golfers in the optimal lineup within the top 20 of my ranks. So you can see the top 20 of my ranks right here. Again, actually, this would be the top 20 down to Sung JM. Matt Fitzpatrick withdrew. He was my 11th ranked golfer. Not only do I want to see at least 4 optimal lineup golfers, but I definitely want to see more made cuts than missed cuts, but really more top 20s than missed cuts. So, and we do. We see 4 missed cuts, and geez, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 10s. So right away, the rankings were really good this week. I know in the preview or the strategy, I said I wanted to update these. I still do. I think there's definitely room for improvement when it comes to the rankings, but so far this is good. These golfers were inside top 20 of my ranks. That means the optimizer that I use to build lineups are going to get on these golfers quite a bit. And I mean, you kind of like, if you just look at these rankings, you had a 10, a 9, an 8, and a 7. If you follow this channel a lot, I constantly talk about your traditional lineup build 10-9 or 10-9-8, 7-7-6 is usually the right build you want to do. And that was another thing to mention here. Your optimal lineup was a 10, a 9, an 8, 7, 7, 6. So there you go. Optimal lineup followed that suit. But just in general, whenever we talk about these, it is a high success rate of being in the optimal lineup, which is crazy to think of. Because a lot of people want to go balanced. A lot of people want to go stars and scrubs where you get like 3 9s and 3 6s, or a 10, 2 9s and 3 6s, or a 7 and 2 6s, something like that. And it just kind of goes over and over. 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 is your, proper build to do. And if I scroll down a little bit, we can see Maverick McNeely would be my 33rd ranked golfer. That's not terrible. But then Cam Young, at least he's inside the top 100. Which again, there's only 120 golfers in this field, so that's not super impressive, but he's almost half. His ranking is almost half of the field. So that's pretty good. Rankings kind of pulled their weight. And I mean, I had a lot of good scores on DraftKings. I just enter a lot of winner take alls. and I finished second in 2 of those, third in 2 more, and a fourth in another, and a fifth in 1. So like I was super close to knocking, and again, 100 unique lineups. That's how I build 100 unique lineups or more. All of them have to be unique. I don't like to put the same lineup in. It just doesn't seem very beneficial. Although I know one of the guys, the Fantasy Golf Pod, did do that. Congratulations to him. It's just I don't see it being as successful week after week. Just I don't think there's a good way to hit the optimal lineup that way, nor is there a good way to win a GPP that way. So my feelings on it, either way, rankings were good. That plays into another thing, which is called the Marquee Tee Time pairings. So I'm going to go ahead, sort this out by color. So everybody that's highlighted in this dark green color over in the sweet spot ranks, they are in the optimal lineup. And that first group actually had Matt Fitzpatrick in it. But again, he withdrew. We can still talk about him, but I'm not super keen on, spending too much time there. I want to find at least 2 guys in the optimal lineup from here. That's what we see on average. We have 3. So that's really good. It's great. And remember the rule that I have? Like, don't play someone out of the same group. Like, don't play 2 golfers out of the same group. So if you like Colin Morikawa, don't pair him up with Xander. Don't pair him up with Cameron Champ. Now, Xander did finish 13th, which is really good. But we're looking for the optimal lineup, which is super, super narrow, when building lineups. So yeah, you could find success that way. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people would probably argue that, but here you go. Like, this is a really good lesson here that, a 10 or each of the golfers in the optimal lineup within the Marquee Tee Time pairings were not in the same group. So Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, and Adam Scott. So to me, that's really easy to build. And I have some really exciting news about this. I was able to code this in the optimizer. So I'm going to throw that on the screen. I already have this one. We'll talk about this. This is coming up shortly. I'll wait for it to load so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I actually updated too to show how much is most commonly matched, how many times it's been matched, but I added a whole section down here and it just goes based off of groups. So basically what I would do, and I'll talk about this in the next strategy video that I have, is Colin Morikawa, we'll say Colin, Xander, and Cameron Champ, they're in group 1. Let's put it that way. So let me get rid of these groups that I currently, actually, no. I think they're already all loaded in here. They are not. Let me do, so Colin can be a 6, Xander's a 6, and Cameron Champ, right? Oh, how much was Cameron Champ? I forgot. How much do you cost? 6,500. There you go. You remove this. We don't need those to say no. Okay. So what I can do is currently what I have it at, I have a max of 1. So the optimizer is only going to select at least 1 golfer from each of those groups. Or not from each of those groups. It's just going to, if it does select a golfer from that group, it's going to make sure it doesn't select more than 1. But what I can do is like, hey, I want someone in the Colin Morikawa group. Where's Victor Hovland? Hovland is in group 3. I want someone in group 3. And then who was that other guy we wanted? Adam Scott. Adam Scott was in group 4. So let's make sure we grab someone from group 4. So it's group 6, group 3, and group 4. So then when I run the optimizer, again, it's going to use the metric. Hopefully it selects Morikawa. I might even break it too because of all the constraints. I did not. So it went Dustin Johnson instead. And then it went Cameron Champ, which, whatever. Let's run it again. It's going to actually X out Cameron Champ because I figured out how to do unique lineups. And it broke. Okay. I'm wondering if it's because of the ownerships. We'll see if that helps. Markawa, Hovland, Scott. Perfect. Leishman, Noren, and Pereira. That's not terrible, honestly. I wish I should load in the points just to see how much they would have scored, but I would have the 3 top guys. Obviously, Neiman wasn't included, which is kind of disappointing. But if we scroll down here, it didn't select anybody else out of these groups, which is awesome. And we'll be able to actually build lineups this way if we want to. I mean, I could run this again. It's going to actually X out Mito. So let's see if it can select Joaquin Neiman at all. Seamus Power, Mystic. Oh my God, Seamus Power was kind of a disappointment. Oh, I even have the 1098-776. Like, I have really strict conditionals in on this. So I can actually remove some of this. We do not need to do all of this. But it's still selecting Morikawa, Hovland, Scott. So let's see. Let's see if it kind of updates and doesn't really mess with. With Pendrith, I put Pendrith pretty high. Anyways, we'll talk more about that in the next strategy video. But when it comes to how I build lineups, I'm so excited about that because it's going to save me a bunch of time, and it's going to follow the logic that I preach to you guys. So super excited about that. Okay. From here, we talked about the marquee tea time pairings. We have we have more than 2 guys in the optimal lineups. Actually, there were really just 2 because the Morikawa grouping here was really close to that threshold. If you remember me talking to you guys, there's a threshold that all 3 of the golfers need to get under for their combined SweetSpot score. Theirs was over it, but you had 2 guys inside the top 10 of that ranking. Cameron Champ was 84th ranked in my model, finished 67th. So kind of goes to show like that one worked out. But yeah, I guess we actually had 2. And then a 3rd was in the honorable mention group. So that was all nice and dandy. Now, the big one is the buckets. Obviously, we follow bucket, the bucket system here to let us know, well, not so much to let us know. This helps us find the optimal lineup. And then obviously, if we use the rules that are in place or the projections that I have, and we build lineups based off that, can we get to the optimal lineup? Could we have done that this week? So before I actually look into that, what I want to show you guys, let me actually freeze it right. Oh, I can't freeze it because I have a merged cell. Okay. So let me hide some of this. Let me hide this. Hide that. I'm going to hide this. There we go. I wanted to bring this in because I created this last week to help me show you guys if the buckets hit or did not. So in this column right here, it will tell you if that bucket was successful. And what it's doing is it's first looking at this projection here, my minimum projection, me telling you how many do you absolutely want in your lineup. Remember, we always round down for each of these buckets. So in the last year 1 bucket, this goes down to a 2. And then obviously last year 3, that goes down to a 0. So first of all, it will say, of the top 10s that showed up in that bucket, is this number larger than that number? And if it is, then it failed. That means we didn't hit our minimum projection. So then once it passes that test, it will then look at, usually I would just say, is this one, is the top 10 number higher than this number? If so, then fail it. But that's not what I do. I look at the optimal lineup number. If this number is greater than my max projection, then I fail it. Because that's kind of how I had the rules before. This kind of helps me out. It helps make the bucket system numbers look better. But now you can also see them yourself. So I'm not trying to trick any of you guys as to how well the bucket system did. Because let's say if this projection was like, if the max projection was 1.11, I would then no, I guess that wouldn't work out. I can't think of how I'm going to try to conceptualize it for you guys. But anyways, you can see, again, here are your projections. That is basically what this number, this number's looking into, this number's looking into, and whether or not that's a success or not. 34 buckets. I can scroll down. You can see all the green check marks. Actually, you can pause this video and do your own checks if you want. Like, look at the course history ones. We had 6 golfers inside the top 10, but only 1 was in the optimal lineup. And our minimum projection was 1. Our max projection was 3. So although we had a lot of the golfers show up inside the top 10, if you wanted to hit the optimal lineup, you didn't want to play more than 1 of those guys. So that's kind of how it also works out. But anyways, you can pause the video, do your own checks, make sure all of it makes sense. We wanted a 10K golfer. Sure enough, 1 did show up inside the top 10. We wanted at least 1 7K golfer. We had 2. And then obviously you can see how that all shakes out. The only other bucket that really didn't hit was we had more optimal lineup golfers coming from the strokes gained 2 bucket, which is positive off the tee, positive putting, and either negative around the green stats or negative approach stats. Because strokes gained 1 is all strokes gained stats are positive, off the tee, approach, around the green, putting. If those are all positive, they land here. If it's positive off the tee, positive putting, and not in strokes gained 1, then it's in strokes gained 2. So that's kind of how that works. We actually had we had 1 more inside the optimal lineup than our max projection, which was 3. So just by that alone, we weren't going to hit the optimal lineup if we follow all this, where we want at least 1 strokes gained 1, because there was 0 inside the optimal lineup. So obviously that one didn't shake out. The rest of them, though, they did. I mean, if you just chose 1 at least in all of these, even the strokes gained 4, although I didn't say you needed 1, it all worked out. So bucket 34 successful out of 36. That's a 94% success rate, which is highly, highly successful in my opinion. But the buckets, they can hit all they want. Can we actually build the optimal lineup? So let me pull up the optimizer. I loaded in, these were the DK points that they scored. So I have it sorted from top to bottom. Who scored the most? Well, not who scored the most points, but basically their placement. This is how it goes, is by their placement, then it goes by DK points. But the metric is going to be looking at the DK points. I loaded in, I locked in all 6 of the optimal lineup golfers. This is how we do our checks. Basically, we're going to look at the mins that we put. That's based off the bucket system, and see if this lineup can follow. In the very first bucket, you can see it did not. So this is what I chose, locking in these golfers. This is a representation of the golfers that are in the optimal lineup. There's only 1 last year one. So right away, it's going to fail because we wanted a minimum of 2. Other points where we wanted a minimum or even a maximum, like last year 5s. If you look at the last year 5s, it shows 2 when I wanted a max of 1. So there's just no getting to the optimal lineup just from the last year buckets. Last week buckets, same thing applies. We didn't have a last week 2, so couldn't get there. Course history buckets, they were good. Those are spot on. Recent form buckets were spot on. Obviously, we talked about the strokes gained buckets. That one was not. We were over our max there, and then we obviously didn't do our min. And then when it came to our salary buckets, yes, the 10K hit, as did the 7K. So that all worked out. Now, if we can't build the optimal lineup, can we build a lineup that beats the GPP winning lineup? And just by using the optimizer, it's going to look at the DK points. It's going to follow all of the logic. So it's going to give me the best possible lineup, I think. Let me just do one thing really quickly. The optimizer selects based off of the metric, and it kind of will do like, this is an okay number, as long as I don't know how to explain it actually. If I don't sort by this number here, if there was like one that was 83 points right here, and then obviously it's wedged between 290 points, if this meets all the bucket logic criteria, it will select this golfer regardless of other scores underneath it, because it looks top down with all of the, you know, with all the points. So what we need to do in order to win a GPP this week, $5, is to score over 614.5. Can we do that following the bucket system logic? So everything is cleared in the locks. I'm not trying to trick you guys. I'm just going to hit run optimizer and see if this number here will beat 614.5. And we get one that's 616. So yes, following the bucket system logic would have gotten us a team that would have beaten the GPP winning lineup just by 1.5 points. So success. Like, bucket system was success. Trying to build the optimal lineup is a success. Well, trying to hit the optimal lineup, but obviously we couldn't, and that's why the whole motto is, if we can't hit the optimal lineup, hopefully when we miss, we hit the GPP instead. Because if you aim narrow, if you aim small, you're going to miss small. That's the whole purpose. And obviously we missed the optimal, but we still took down a GPP just by building a lineup using the bucket system rules. 10, 9, 2 8s, a 7, and a 6. So hey, that's how the lineup can be built sometimes. And obviously this one did pretty well. Out of curiosity, if I run, it's going to take out Max Homa. He was the lowest scoring guy of the bunch. Will the second lineup win a GPP? No. 5 points underneath it. And you can see what the new lineup is. Each of those lineups did not include Joaquin Niemann. And don't get me wrong, the optimizer hit Joaquin Niemann a bunch of times, but we're looking at past results. So what happened after the tournament concluded? Everyone inside the top 10. And I suppose Ches Reavy, I don't think he was inside the top 10, was he? He was with DK scoring. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. Or was Ches Reavy? Actually, let me go by DK points. 83 points. Is that where he was? 86.5. There's Reavy. He did finish 10th. Wow. I didn't know that. So what did we have? We had Ches, McNeely, Scheffler. They all finished inside the top 10. That follows the bucket system rules. That follows the sweet spot process. Over 49,000 for the minimum salary. It all works out. So yeah, that last one too would have won too, because Max Homa finished inside the top 10 ? Yeah, he finished 10th. Okay, so the process worked this week. Unfortunately, I didn't have that lineup. Otherwise, I'd be celebrating a little bit more than I currently am. So unfortunate that didn't work, but it's nice to see the bucket system would have taken down a GPP. Unfortunately, didn't get the optimal, but that's okay. That's okay. This will change how the buckets look next year. You know, the more data we have, the more normalized it gets, and the better idea we're going to have when trying to select our golfers week to week. So that is all I have. Congratulations again to Jim Lemoyne. Again, you won $10 this week. Next week is going to be worth 20, and we need to get to 320 subscribers. So if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. And if you want an entry into that subscriber giveaway for the $20, all you gotta do is just comment in my preview videos, my strategy videos, even the prize picks video I put out Wednesday. Each one of those goes towards a free entry. And then if you want an additional one on top of that, retweet whatever I have going on Twitter. There we go. So that's all you gotta do in order to get that. That being said, I got nothing else left for you guys. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.